So here's the bottom line. No matter what you're doing or where you're at, whether you're just trying to decompress or you've got some stuff going on that you're really trying to sift through, or you're going through some sort of like healing journey, or even some sort of awakening of sorts, something that's got the body disrupted and disturbed. We want to what I offer are services that allow the body to basically relax and to decompress, to allow the individual to find a means to channel that outward from the body. Instead of storing it in the body and holding it in, I cover modalities that help to release this stuff, deep stuff. Even we can go in even deeper into like traumatic stuff, past trauma that you've been through. That stuff kind of accumulates in the body and holds on. The body remembers it. That's why it's important when you're doing any kind of like healing work or regenerative, restorative work that you want to kind of like deal with some of that, if you will. I was going to say take care of it, but it's not just a matter of like a one and done type of thing. Sometimes stuff needs a little bit of time to break it up and like push it out. Because oftentimes when you're dealing with any kind of work that involves a human being, it's much better to go slow. Too quickly can add shock to the body in any given situation. So it's better to work slow and methodical. But again, it's in the body being able to relax that we can start to move forward with anything and everything in life. With growing, with learning, with healing, with just about like anything that we can think of. It's important though, and this is the one thing I want to impress upon people, is that if we don't take that time out, or that we don't take that downtime, that time with ourselves to really like sit with ourselves and be, we're going to really overlook something that's going to catch up with us later. Because as a human being, you cannot just go. That's a myth. That's a myth. And I'll tell you why too. I mean, yeah, it's possible for someone to do that, but what ends up happening in the process is you turn into something else. You lose some of your humanity. You become very robotic, if you will. Your mind shifts. It becomes you're like living in survival mode constantly, and that's very unhealthy for the body. Can wear the body down. Can bring on sickness and ailment and other afflictions, mentally and physically. So you want to make sure that like you're taking time to decompress, to take the time that you need to like release stuff, to let go of stuff, to allow the body to relax. You cannot keep the body in a state of constant like go, or stress, if you will. Keep the body in a constant state of stress or working. And even then, it's not just about keeping the body in a state of constant like stress, but like you have to be methodical and be intentional on the kind of rest you give the body. It's not enough to just slouch and like lay on the sofa there and like scroll for a couple of hours, saying that's your downtime, you're just relaxing. It's like it's not relaxing. The way you're sitting, and then the way you've got your mind engaged, it's not allowing the body to fully relax. And if you're trying to like bring on that relaxation, you've got to disengage some parts of you. And this is where like most of us kind of tend to lose it, because it's like we don't know how to like stop. We don't think that we need time necessarily, We believe that we can just go. We believe that like, we're all right, or even better yet, that we're fine. And that's not the case. As a human being, this is necessary for your well-being, for balance, for stability in your life. When you start to like go and when you start to focus too much in one direction, I mean, you feel it. You will feel it. And there's not one person I know of that like is in that type of pattern that really like is comfortable with it. I mean, if you talk to enough people, you'll find that. I mean, most people are like on a survival mode, or in survival mode, and that's all they know, and that's all they're willing to like take in at that time, or like right now even. But that's where I'm saying we have to go past that for our own survival, for our own sustainability, our own like evolution. I mean, we're at this point now where we're moving into a different time, and it's very important that like this is talked about, because it's not just about like another year passing or another decade passing. We're moving into a different time. It's pulling a lot of stuff with it, It's pushing and pulling a lot of stuff with it. We're talking in quantum form. And it's important that we're like, some part of us is ready for this. And what I mean by that is like, there's all this like, talk about how like AI is going to do this, this, and that. And it's like, I'm not buying all of it right away. I know it's coming up, but the way they're really pushing it, it's too much. It's excessive. Excessive to the point where it's like, okay, they're really trying to push, a narrative, if you will. And that's where it's like, you got to kind of pump the brakes on that and like really listen to it. Use your discernment on what you're listening to. Are they like trying to assist you in the future, or are they trying to sell you or push you in a direction or into a belief system? Those are things that it's important to be able to ask yourself, and it's being of a healthy mind, body, and spirit that you can be effective in that, in those questions that you do ask yourself, because that's the best way that we can prepare for anything that's coming our way right now to date, is for ourselves to be healthy of mind, body, and spirit. If those three like areas of us, there's other areas of us, the energetic level and the other physical plane, the astral plane, but we're not talking about that right now. We're going to break it down into like this three simple areas of mind, body, and spirit. And spirit does encompass a lot, so that allows us some room to play here. But ultimately, we're like going to bring it down to three. And I do that to just simplify it, to make it as easy as possible to jump right into it, And for anybody who's more at an intermediate level, you're gonna just jump in. When you jump into it, you're gonna like start wherever wherever you're comfortable at, wherever your body like needs to take you. There's the way that I practice what I do and that I share in my practice is that your higher self knows where you need to go. As long as you're open and relaxed and you can like connect with parts of yourself that can communicate and like just allow and release, that stuff is going to happen what needs to happen. But if we get in the way and we've got expectation, or we're like wanting a particular thing to happen, or we think one particular thing should happen first, as far as the resolutions go or the healings go, it's like that's when we start to complicate things. So again, the best way that I'm saying that we can be prepared for the things that are coming up is for us to be healthy mind, body, and spirit. And I would say everybody and everything has the potential and the ability to heal, if not to 100%, at least up in the high 90s, no matter where you're at, no matter what you come from, no matter what the circumstance is. It's just a matter of finding that information that fits for you. There's a saying that impossible is a word that's used for something that's not known. And I believe that to be true, because there's a lot of stuff that, like, I'd say 10 years ago, people weren't talking about as freely as they are now. There's a lot more information out there. There's a lot more evidence, too. People always want proof, and especially on, like, simple stuff, the stuff that they could pretty much test on their own, which doesn't make any sense. Why not do that? Why not, like, test it on yourself? There's all kinds of things. I'm not saying as far as like consumables go, because that's a whole different area and a whole different topic, but I'm talking about like any kind of exercise, physical movement, any kind of mental or spiritual kind of like practice or like game to kind of keep yourself motivated and like, involved and active in life. Those things like that. It's important. And that's one of the things that I like to talk about and I like to share with people, is that it's important for us to like take the time to be humans. It's not all right to always go, bottom line. And a lot of people don't know how to do that. And that's where like, as a coach, I share with people how to do that. I teach you how to like, just stop what you're doing. And if you really can't stop because your brain is active, then we'll take something to make it a focal point. But it's going to be something that's going to be, it's going to be conducive to what we're doing here, Because the name of the game is relaxation. We need to pull back, because it doesn't matter who you are and what you do. Everybody has an idea of what they should be doing or what they need to be doing right now to get themselves where they want to go or where they want to be. Everybody has that like intuitive nature to them. You have to. It's natural. It's in you. It's innate. And if it's not, let's talk some. Let's find out. Let's dig a little bit and see what's going on there. That's one of my favorite things to do, because it's like anytime we're looking at an affliction with the human or with the body or with the mind or with the spirit, it's like there's something that's blocking it, that's causing it. Nothing's coming from nowhere. Nothing just pops up. There's reasons for everything. All physical ailments. Everything starts in the spiritual realm. Period. So what I'm saying is that that's digging deep. That's digging deep. If you're just going on the surface right there, and you're like trying to knock off symptoms, or you're not really getting to the root of the matter, you're not really healing something. You're just adding a short-term remedy to it. Not even a remedy, just something that kind of holds you over. And I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in deeper healing and fulfillment of the human spirit, mind, and body. I mean, once those three are activated, the body starts to come online, other things start to happen. I mean, your intuition kicks in to a greater degree and a greater depth, to where you can trust your judgment. You can take those leaps, those jumps, those risks, and not be concerned and not be wrapped up in is it going to work or is it not? Because the fact of the matter is, you should always want to take a risk. Always, especially when it comes to you. Because we're creators. We're not meant to be consumers. We're here to create. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it be art, whether it be ideas, whether it be systems. It doesn't matter what it is. We're here to create something new, something now, something that's conducive to what we're doing, something that's established with and rooted in love. Because that's what's important. Because that's what's been missing for so long. Is that a lot of stuff that we do now is no longer rooted in anything. But the bottom line right now, in this day, in this age, is if we're to grow and we're to sustain ourselves and we're to really evolve ourselves to the next level, then we've got to incorporate love in it. It has to happen like that. The evidence is there. It talks about the amazing healing and the power that we have as human beings when we come from a place of love. It doesn't make sense to go any other route with that. We've got to rebuild from love. We've got to create from love. When I say rebuild, I'm talking about today, the state of things today. There's no repairing anything at this point. We're past that. What we need to do is have healthy people online, on deck, that are talking and sharing and communicating. That's how stuff gets created. It starts as a thought first, right? Then the inspiration comes. And the person with the wherewithal, or with the inspiration, or with the dedication, the determination to see something through, or want to see it manifest, or to make it happen. I mean, we're far from over here. We are far from over. We're not at the end of times. We're at the end of a time, completely different than what people are kind of thinking and projecting. And I say that because if you look at the feeds, if you scroll through and you just look at what people are talking about, people are ready for doom and gloom. They're throwing their hands in the air. Nobody wants to stand. I'm not even talking about fighting. I'm talking about standing and questioning, and we're not doing that. That should happen. And again, I'm not talking about any kind of physical anything right now. I'm talking just the matter as a human being standing up on your feet. To say what you feel, to say what you think, to say what's real, to speak your mind. So I think a lot of people speak from this hive mind, ideology, and it's made us weaker as a people, because we're so concerned about what other people think. If the majority is going this way, then more than likely people swing that way. And that's really unfortunate. Yeah, that's really unfortunate. But again, moving forward is about bringing yourself to a state of peace, and really working on yourself, looking at yourself, and taking time to be with yourself. Adding those things to your life will add value. People are I hear conversations, I hear people talk about how they're in a state of they don't care, or it doesn't matter. or they're caught in like the grind of like just everyday living. It's like we don't have to stay there. We don't. There's there there's ways to rise above that, to start to achieve different things and elevate yourself to a different level of thinking and being and operation. What's in my heart often is like my people perish from a lack of knowledge. I also know of one that's my people perish from a lack of vision. But I mean, both are very true and both hold weight. But without that knowledge, you can't have the vision. You don't know. But one does feed the other. And again, the more you're like healed inside, the more you've got that balance with the mind, body, and spirit, the sharper you are. I mean, you have ideas. You have stuff coming out of you constantly. I know personally, I do. I'm never at a loss for ideas. I mean, there's times if it's maybe an interaction with somebody, I will not be at a loss, but I'll take some time to make sure that I'm doing the most positive, conducive thing I can. So I will take some time there. But like again, it's like I'm not really challenged with, and I don't want to come off as sounding all like just too much here. But what I'm saying is like the day-to-day stuff. It's not a heavy challenge. I'm able to. I meet it. I meet it with a healthy. I guess with a healthy interaction, you could say. I want to get the job done or the task done. I just the way I move through stuff, the way I think about stuff. Everything is just always just seems to be right where it needs to be. And there's times when and I'll tell you, like in my, where I'm at or what I do, it's like any time of day, it's like, it doesn't matter where I'm at. I'm subject to something seeping in that it doesn't need to be there. It may be a past lover. It may be just something that kind of maybe upsets me a bit or used to upset me. That'll pop up and I'll remember how I used to think about that or how I used to feel about that. And if I ponder that aspect long enough, how I used to think about it, if I think about that long enough, I can start to bring those feelings up again. So it's like, no, that's where the idea or the methodology of or the method of capturing your thoughts is important. When you feel that stuff start to come up, it's good to have some modalities in your pocket that you can turn to help you flip the switch so that you don't have to stay there. Unless it's something that you're working through, like you're working through some sort of past issue, and something surfaces like that. Well, then you take a pen and pencil if you can, at that moment, and start to take some notes down on how you feel and why you feel like that. Where do you think it should go? Just detailed notes, so that you can remember this later, so that you can help yourself work through whatever it is that you're needing to work through. But again, and I say that because it's really interesting in the area of healing. A lot of people will find that a lot of the magic, a lot of the actual healing occurs when you're by yourself, not when you're with any other individual. It's when you're with yourself that you start to really feel something different. You start to think something different, and what comes out of you, what you speak, is something different. And that's a beautiful place to be. And again, this is what I teach and I share. And I want to share this with you, some of the things that I offer. One of them being a deep release cacao ceremony, which is I really love this one because it's actually where I take the time to guide you through 6 different deep healing modalities that will help you to relax. After one of them being the cacao itself. The cacao itself is a vasodilator. It's a plant medicine. It helps to expand the heart. It's in that expansion that will allow you to release some stuff that's been, sitting too long. And at that same time, we'll be able to bring some stuff in that you're needing more of or you're wanting to have more of in your life. It's a beautiful experience. And it's different for everybody. Sometimes people feel something really strong in the first one. Oftentimes it's the third one. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is you're going to feel something with the layers of the 6 modalities that we bring onto the body, that we introduce the body to. Fire bath, drumming, we do some breath work, we do grounding. All those things add layers of relaxation to the body and really help to do some incredible stuff within. Another thing I offer is a 4-week mentorship where I've got, it's based off these 21 healing modalities. They're very easy to use modalities. If you can breathe, if you can whistle, if you can jump up and down. I mean, that's kind of like the base of a lot of these modalities. But they're modalities that work because they start to bring down your cortisol. They start to relax the central nervous system. They help to relax the muscles in the body. They help to release tension, release aggression, things of that nature, depending on where you're at, too. The emotional spectrum of things, if you're feeling sadness and guilt or things of that nature, there's modalities in there that will, work towards that. Again, it's about getting into a place where, you're just relaxed. You're relaxed that you can think clearly and you can move yourself forward, no matter where you're at in life. Doesn't matter, like I said, doesn't matter what you're doing. Or especially if you're on a healing journey, you want to keep your head and your heart as light as possible because your body's got, work to do, some heavy work to do. And if you're over there, just your mind's all full of all kinds of nonsense, it's going to have an effect on the healing and the length of time it takes and what heals and how well it heals. It could add some distortion. So it's best to kind of keep your thoughts and your heart pure. Relax yourself, Keep the mindset that you're healing, so that you need to respect that and really treat that as sacred work, because it is. If we don't start treating ourselves as we're sacred, and establishing those boundaries or adding more to us, really taking the time to be with ourselves, these things are well, we're seeing what they're doing. We're seeing what they're doing because that's what's going on right now, is that we've become so disconnected from our natural essence that this artificial way of life, it's hard for us to deal with on a mind, body, and spirit. It's hard for us to deal with. It's challenging. The body's not equipped to deal with a lot of it, and there's a lot of artificial stuff out there. It's in our foods. It's in our water supply. It's everywhere. It's in our clothing, depending on what kind of fabric you're wearing. So it's really good to keep your guard up and be in the know of things, In this lifetime, right now, it's important that you're able to advocate for yourself and have a basic knowledge of what's going on out there. A lot of stuff that we were taught, well, it doesn't, it doesn't hold. It doesn't hold now. It didn't hold then, it doesn't hold now. And as more of the truth comes out, it's important that we seek this stuff out, not wait for it to fall into our laps, or think that we're going to catch it, on any kind of normal media station. I think if you believe that the media is not staged, then you're a little behind in the game at this point, because there's a bigger game at play. We're way past left and right and all that stuff. If you're not understanding what I'm saying, then perhaps you should do some research or ask some people, because we're past that at this point. That's why I'm getting to the very nature of what I'm talking about here, because all that stuff aside, if you're caught up in all that distraction that's out here, all this is going to be neglected. Now is not a time to neglect this. Now is the time to be sharpening this, to hone it, to develop it, to cultivate it, because this is going to be what helps gets us to the next level. We need teachers, we need mentors, we need role models, we need people that are demonstrating this. Fear is a nasty thing, and it's really being pumped hard right now. And if you're in a state of fear, it's understandable that if you're not in a state of fear necessarily, but if you have fear creeping in, or if you do have fear that comes on to you for various reasons, it's understandable. I'm certainly not condemning anybody for that. We've certainly been bombarded with enough stuff socially, to definitely feel something. But again, it's when you're engaged, mind, body, and spirit, and you've got those things working actively, and you're in a healthier state of being, your discernment, it picks up stuff. It lets you know stuff. It puts your body at a state of ease. This primal stuff kicks in even, to where the body knows, should I be concerned or should I not? That's how tuned in we are to this to the earth that we walk on. You know, we're very electric beings. The body knows. The body knows when it's morning. It starts to wake up. That light starts to like create different functioning in the body, certain things of it to activate. But anyway, I'll go ahead and keep this short right now, but I wanted to just talk a bit, share some stuff with you, because I think it's important right now. There's a lot of stuff going on. And people, it's not too hard to kind of get, to fall into that train there and just be dragged on for a while. It's not hard at all. So take care of yourself. If you're looking for some help or for some assistance, some coaching, you've got some stuff you'd like to heal or talk about, let me know. You can reach me here. Talk to you soon.